Hey, it's Martin from Yes, I'm a Designer. Let me guide you through my top 5 new features added to InDesign CC 2019. First off, let me show you the probably coolest new feature called Content Aware Fit. So we had lots of different ways of fitting content into a frame already, like fill frame and fit frame proportionally, so on and so forth. But now we have this new option here called Content Aware Fit. And I want to point out that in the preferences under the General tab, you also have a feature that can make this option automatic, meaning that this will be the default behavior for images. So they will automatically fit to the frame based on their content. Now this relies on the Adobe Sensei artificial intelligence, which was introduced in the previous version, but has been refined and improved for this current version. So let's see how this works. If I have some images here, let's say this one, and I drag and drop it into this frame, by default it already aligns the girl in the frame instead of having the center point visible. If I replace it with another image, maybe this one here underneath, Alt or Option click to replace the content, notice how now it focuses on the right side of that image. So these were both landscape format images, but the interesting content is changing. Once it's on the left, then it's on the right. And then again, if I drag this one with the person running and I place it in again, once more it realigns the image because it recognizes the interesting details are on the left. How cool is this? And of course you don't have to use it on every frame. If you want, you can also set it up as an object style and that way apply it only to specific frames. But to be honest, in the last couple of days since I've been using InDesign, having this feature enabled as a default option, I found that I actually saved so much time because I didn't have to fiddle around with small adjustments and changes each time I placed in a new image. So the other cool feature I'm going to show you in another document, this is called Adjust Layout, and this is in the new Properties panel. Because in Illustrator and Photoshop we already have Properties panel, Adobe decided that now we can also use something similar in InDesign, which makes it much easier to access always the relevant features. So it's a bit similar to the control area here on the top, which by the way you can even turn off now because it's almost irrelevant. If you go to Window and turn off Control, you will then be able to rely on the new Properties panel. And this option, Adjust Layout, is also here. Now, if I zoom out a bit, you can see that we have options here like changing the margins of the pages. And notice how this is updating on all the pages at once. So it's like a global setting. And we can also change the height of our pages from the Properties panel. But the problem with this is that once we do it on a global setup on multiple spreads, it's going to affect the composition. Like on this spread, we are starting to lose the text here, and also the title is getting too close to the top of the page, so it's probably already beyond the margin, and yes, it goes slightly beyond that. So I'm just going to undo these last couple of changes to the height of my spreads, and instead of doing it this way, I am going to use the new Adjust Layout option, with which you can turn on lots of additional options like adjusting the margins, adjusting the font size, and whatever changes you are doing here. Let's say I'm changing the height to 240. Once you click OK, it will update all of the pages in the document to this new size, but also it will update the placement of your items. So all the elements in the page will be updated, the font size, the position of it, and it does a really good job. Of course, you might still need to fix a few things, like here the fitting of the frame wasn't perfect, but with a subtle few changes you get an amazing result in this new format. So this can save you a lot of time whenever you need to do something as major update to the document as this. Moving on, feature number 3 is the import PDF comments, which can save you so much time again if you ever work from client feedback that comes through in a PDF format. So getting the comments and then you have to update the InDesign file got just so much faster and easier, because now we have this new panel called PDF comments, and you can just simply import the comments by selecting the PDF file. Once that's fed into InDesign, you can run through these. So we can see that there were 3 comments from the PDF, and the first one is this text here. So the client wants to change it to starts now instead of starts here, and the best thing, all I have to do is to say accept, and it will update, keeping the paragraph style and formatting of the text as it was, completely automatic, and it's even marked resolved, which means that I don't have to worry about it anymore. Let's see the next one. This one says use bold for drop cap. Okay, so that's simple. I just select my text and I'm going to go to the styles from the properties panel and choose bold. Now that I fixed it, I can manually tick this off. So from this list here in the new panel, just simply mark it as resolved. And the last one, make the couple larger. I can zoom out a bit, select the image, and then holding down Alt or Option Shift and start dragging to make them bigger, something like that, and push done. Let's mark it resolved. So this can save you so much time going through the feedback from clients, and you can even import multiple PDFs and then get all the comments in one place. You can search within the comments, and you can even filter based on all of these different categories here. So moving on, feature number 4 is a very geeky feature. It's for users who love to work with typography, like myself, and paragraph styles, because there is a feature called space between paragraphs, which can be saved into styles. I'm just going to show you the example with the bulleted list, but it can be applied to so many different things. Now, you might be familiar with the fact that you can use space before and after paragraphs. That has been available for a long time. But what happens when you are using a paragraph style with these features on a bulleted list is that between each entries in the list, you will also get those spaces showing up. So you can see this list here, and those huge spaces between the entries is because I'm using space before and after, which was necessary to separate this whole list from the rest of the copy. So if I turn on the control panel and go to paragraph style options, you can see it under the indents and spacing that we have 4 points before and 4 points after. Now, if I get rid of these, that's going to sort out the space between the entries, but it will also get rid of the space before and after the list. So I don't really like that. I'm just going to increase these spaces back. So 4 before and 4 after. But thanks to the feature that we have here, and this is the new option, now we can set the space between the paragraphs independent from the space before and after. So if I choose 0 points, then it will fix that problem. And I can have as big space as I want before it and after it without having so much unnecessary space between the entries. Of course, I can increase this, so if 0 point is too less, I can get like 2 points, but I can be very specific. And there's no need for setting multiple paragraph styles for a simple thing as that. And last but not least, feature number 5, we have improvements on the font selector. So when you are using text and you want to change the font on it, you have now lots of additional options. Similarly to Illustrator, these features been introduced that instead of seeing the copy sample for all of these different fonts, it will automatically show you the text in here that is currently selected. You can find similar fonts very quickly. So for example, the one that we have selected, if we want to find existing fonts on our computer that are looking similar, we can just simply do that. We can go back to see all of our fonts. Then we can filter for different classes as well. So if I'm looking for a cool script font, I can very quickly find all of the available ones on my computer. And probably the coolest thing is that now you don't have to leave InDesign to be able to get to Adobe Typekit and get new fonts synchronized to your computer, because you can do this directly here in this panel. Just go to find more, and then you can see all the available fonts that you can get simply just by clicking on activate. And of course, because it's a huge list, you probably want to use the filters here. So if you are looking for something specific, like let's say more condensed width fonts and fonts that are serif, then you can see already a filtered result here. And I love the fact that I can see a preview without synchronizing the fonts. And that's very important. So I didn't have to synchronize this font and it already shows up in the background. So if I like something, all I have to do is to activate it. And once it's activated, it will stay on the computer. Just bear in mind that you can have up to 100 synchronized fonts from Typekit at one time on your computer or in your Creative Cloud account. But that's all I wanted to show you in this video. So these were my 5 favorite new features introduced in InDesign CC 2019. If you are interested about what's new in Photoshop and Illustrator, make sure to check our channel for them. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next one.